Hey everybody. It's Sunday. Mark is working. He had to work. Actually, he had to work all weekend. And I've kind of been cleaning, but laying on my sofa and in my recliner watching TV. It's been kind of a long day. It's hot here in Southeast Texas, but I love sitting on my patio. And until the weather or the temperature gets to be 100 degrees or 100, and I see the highest last year was 106, I think, 107, with a feels like of 116. Felt like he was in a sauna. That was one of the worst summers we've ever had, and I pray that we don't have that again. Sometimes sitting alone by yourself is really good. It gives you time to think and reflect. And sometimes it can bring on feelings, maybe unwelcomed ones. People has said to me over the years, and when I say over the years, maybe in the past 5 more so than any other, boy, Renee, you've changed. You have changed. And that's, sometimes that's all they say. They don't say it's for the better, it's for the worse. But they notice a change, and I want to look at them and say, heck yeah, I've changed. I sure have changed. For one thing, I went through menopause, and if anybody out there knows anything about menopause, it's like going from puberty into adulthood. All those silly things that you did when you was a teenager and all that, you realize how stupid, how dumb. I'm a grown-up now. Okay. Well, it's the same thing when you go through menopause. You're in the latter stages of, I don't know, that infamous book I talk about, you're given at birth, and you have many, many chapters. And within those chapters is a lot of pages of your book of life, and when you go through menopause, it's not that it's the final stages per se of your life. You're just, on the latter chapters. And that's how I am. That's how I'm looking at it. So what mattered to me before menopause doesn't matter to me anymore much. Or it matters differently. Let's just say that. It matters differently. And for those of you who don't know, man, I was robbed of my childhood. I was robbed of my teenage years because I got married. For those of you who don't know, I got married when I was 15. As a matter of fact, it was 5 days after I turned 15 years old. Was I pregnant? No. Had I ever been with a man or a guy in that way? No. No. I was a good girl. I was scared of boys. Yeah, I bet you're saying, yeah, right. But let me tell you the story. My mother, who was very, very strict, my baby brother died in her arms at 2 years and 8 months, and I was 5. So after that happened, my mother clung to me. She was very, very overprotective. Even my family members would tell her that. But that was just her way. That was her way of protecting me, because I don't think she could have took losing another child, because there's times that I remember I didn't know if she was going to make it. Although I was young, there were some terrible times of her grieving for my brother, and he had a heart condition that could not be fixed back in the 60s. So had he been born today, it would have been really not a big deal. But anyway, so I had a wonderful childhood. Oh, I had wonderful parents. Did she spoil me a little bit and get me things that I wanted? Sure. It was one child. So, I didn't have brothers and sisters I had to share with. But I had many cousins. So far as manners and sharing and being respectful, absolutely. I wasn't a spoiled brat. So, but when I became a teenager, and I mean, when I went to spend the night with my friends, she had to know the parents. She had to call the parents and talk to them. I mean, it was just a whole thing. If she happened to let me go to the skating rink, which was like 2 blocks away from where we lived, I had to call her when I got there. I had to call her while I was there, and I had to call her when I left if the parents of my friend was picking us up. Most of the time, it was her picking us up. So, I mean, that's how strict she was. So, I had a few little boyfriends around, and we lived in the city. So, most of the boys back in 79, 80, 81, or 81, 80, 81, they had the long hair, and I don't know. She just wasn't crazy about them. Kind of neither was I, I don't know. I mean, what could you do? Watch TV. His parents would come get us and bring us to a movie, which that never happened. I never went to one little boy I had a crush on, and my dad knew his dad, so I was able to go to his house like on the weekend. We'd watch movies in the living room with his parents. We would go in the backyard and throw the baseball and, that type thing. That was the only dating experience I had. And I'm going to be totally honest with you, at being 14 and 15 years old, I was in my room with my hairbrush, lip syncing to Journey in the mirror, and playing with baby dolls. Seriously, I kid you not. So, then my cousin, my beautiful, beautiful male cousin, whom I love dearly, lived in the country, we called it, and he brought a couple of his friends who were way older, because my cousin's like, I think 4 years older than me, or 3 years older than me, maybe 4, I don't know. But so his friends were his age. I'm talking 19, 20, here I am, or 19, 18, 19, and here I am 15 years old. So he brought a couple of them. He'd come on the weekends and visit, because that was my dad's nephew. My dad and his mother were brother and sister, so we were really close. So he would go back to the country, which was about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. Well, he was coming one particular weekend, and he brought this guy, and lo and behold, he wore a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. Well, my mother thought that was just the greatest, grandest thing since sliced bread, because none of the little guys I kind of had a liking for, city boys didn't wear cowboy boots and cowboy hats. I'm sorry, they didn't. And I was born and raised in the city. So he and I got to talking, and then I introduced one of my friends to my cousin, and they hit it off pretty well. And so he would come over, and he would hook up with my friend. I would hook up with his friend. We would all four go out. We would have a wonderful time. What I thought was a wonderful time. How stupid. But anyway, we did have some good times together. We went bowling. We went to the movies. So this went on for about, I don't know, 3 weeks. 3 whole weeks. And then he started coming on his own, because my cousin had got a job and he couldn't come that often, but he did come to see my friend, because they were madly in love. He more so than her, I think. I don't know. But anyway, he's married now and has a wonderful wife and family and children and grandchildren. So we were young. He was smart. He moved on. But this guy kept coming. Lo and behold, I didn't know, but he had his own truck. I'm like, this is going to make my friends jealous. He's got his own truck. And at the time, I thought he was like 18, like the rest of his friends. Turns out this guy was 21 years old. I just turned 15. It was kind of too late because I thought I was madly in love with him. And I have to tell you this, my mother was in love with a guy from her state, madly in love with him, and he with her. But my mother wound up coming to visit her grandmother in another state, in Louisiana, and she met my dad. Fresh out of the army, she said he was so good looking, and she lost all wits about her, and she stayed dating my dad. Well, when this poor guy in Mississippi found this out, he took his own life. Very sad. Very sad. So I guess when I went to my mother and I was crying and I wanted to marry this guy, and she said yeah. She said yeah. And back then it was so easy to change dates on birth certificates and things, and we had the help of a family member who made it very easy. So we got married 5 days after I turned 15. I remember going to my last day of school thinking, oh, you girls just have no idea. I'm getting married today. So there's that. There's that. So I got married August of 81. August of 81. Keep these dates in your mind. Write it down because I know y'all are going to check. 6 or 7 months after I was married, I got pregnant with my first child. She was born October of 82. So do the math. Do the math. Then at 19, I had another one. And at 21, I had another one. So essentially, I had no childhood. I had no freedom. I was always under somebody's command. And I won't go into the relationship that I had with that marriage, but let's just say we were both young. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought, oh, I get to get away from my parents and they won't be able to tell me what to do. And I went right into a dictatorship for 10 years. So, have I changed? Absolutely, I've changed. I then met and married the love of my life, and we have been married for over 30 years. It's been a wonderful marriage, wonderful relationship, and I don't know what I would do without him. So we're doing this life together. We have no other family members that are involved in our lives. It's just he and I. And the Lord is my best friend. I have a friend whom I love and adore, and she is my sister by choice. I never had a sister, so she would do anything for me and I for her. She's one that I can sit down and tell my deepest, darkest secrets to and the thoughts, you know what I'm talking about. That kind of friend, yeah, I have her, and she's that kind of friend. They are so few and far between. My circle is like this. See that? May even be smaller. So now I'm going through this medical journey. Mark will be 60 years old in a few weeks, and his health is not the greatest either. And we're doing this life together. So I hope I've changed. Change is great. You learn from things you did in your past, and you hope to God you never stay the same. Don't ever hope you stay the same. You want to change. You want to become a different person, a better person, and take what you learned from past mistakes, whether it be your fault or no fault of your own, and make better decisions. So maybe you can be a light, a beacon of hope, an inspiration for somebody else. For somebody else. So when somebody says, Renee, you've changed, I want to look at them and say, yeah, I have. I sure have changed. And I'm better for it. I'm wiser for it. And I'm thankful for it. So thankful and so grateful that I am no longer that same naive little girl. I kept so much from my mother in those 10 years. If I would have been totally honest with her, she would have brought me back home, and I would have been able to not live some of the horrible things that I had to go through. There's things that I'll carry to my grave. Do no good to mention anything now. That's all behind me and in my past. And I always ask the Lord when I pray, Lord, control my mind, my memory, and my thoughts. And He has erased a lot of things from my memory. And I'm so grateful because they were just too painful to bear. So if you're going through something or have been through something and you're haunted by those memories and those thoughts of a terrible time in your life, believe me when I say the Lord will replace that with wonderful, pure, good memories that make you happy, smile, feel warm inside, because He's done it for me. But take those times, reflect on them, and only let them enter your mind when you need to help someone else. The Lord will help you. He'll help you. So, that's my thoughts for this Sunday. Hope you enjoyed it.